some people don't remember you because of who you were. They remember you because of what you revealed about them. There's a strange truth about life that nobody warns you about. The moments people never forget are rarely the ones you think matter. It's not the good times, the shared memories, or the polite smiles that stay burned into their minds. It's the checkmate, the moment you made a move they didn't expect, a move that exposed the weakness in their strategy, and a move that forced them to see themselves without the filters they were hiding behind. And here's the interesting part. According to behavioral psychology, the human brain remembers emotional shock about 40% more vividly than ordinary events. That means the day you broke their pattern didn't just pass. It got permanently pinned to the bulletin board of their memory. The truth is, you didn't set out to be unforgettable. You weren't trying to leave a mark, impress anyone, or prove a point like some dramatic movie character. You were simply done. Done with the loops, the emotional tug-of-war, the subtle manipulations, and the roles people silently expected you to play. And in that moment of clarity, you made a move so quietly powerful that they're still replaying it in their mind, like an unresolved cliffhanger. Honestly, if their thoughts were a TV series, you'd still be trending on their internal top 10 most rewatched episodes. And you didn't even audition for the role. What's funny is that people always expect grand gestures or loud exits to leave the biggest impact. But sometimes the loudest moment in someone's life is the one where you simply stop giving them access. No speeches, no revenge plot, no dramatic slow-motion walk away. Just a firm, calm, unapologetic shift. And that shift has a habit of haunting people who never thought you had that kind of move in you. So when we talk about being the chosen one, it's not because you walked around with a halo or some mythical prophecy. It's because you made a choice, one rooted in awareness, strength, and self-respect, that exposed every illusion they were clinging to. And that checkmate, that single turning point, is the memory they'll never outrun. Let's get into why. Number 1. The day you stopped playing their game. There's a moment that hits harder than any argument, any comeback, or any emotional outburst. It's the moment when you finally stop reacting the way someone expects you to. People build entire strategies around your predictable responses. They know what button to press, what tone to use, and what guilt to throw at you to get the reaction they want. For a long time, you played along without realizing it. Maybe you were patient, maybe you were kind, maybe you were trying to keep the peace. But the day came when something inside you shifted. You didn't explode, you didn't break down. You just stopped engaging with the nonsense. That quiet internal switch did more damage than any confrontation ever could. What really haunts them is how effortlessly you detached. They were counting on you to argue back, to defend yourself, to explain, to soothe, to chase, or to fix things the way you always did. Their whole sense of control rested on your emotional participation. The moment you withdrew that power, the structure they built around you collapsed. It exposed just how much they depended on your reactions to feel relevant, superior, or validated. They weren't prepared for a version of you that didn't play their script. That's the checkmate that stays in their mind. Not because you punished them, but because you outgrew the role they tried to lock you into. You made it clear, without saying a word, that their influence over you was an illusion they created and you allowed. When you walked away from their drama, you didn't lose anything. They did. They lost the comfort of knowing they could pull you into their cycles. They lost the certainty that you would always respond the same way. And they lost the illusion that they understood you. What bites the hardest is how calm you were. No panic, no theatrics, no explanation. Just a quiet refusal to keep dancing in circles. That moment sits in their memory as the point where they realized they misjudged you completely. They thought they had you figured out, they didn't, and that's why it still lingers. Number 2, you saw through what they tried to hide. Some people spend their entire lives hiding behind masks. They smile when they're frustrated, joke when they're hurt, and act confident when they're terrified. Most people get fooled by the surface, but you didn't. You had a way of seeing past the pretense, catching the flicker of insecurity, the hesitation in their words, the truth in their silence. You didn't need them to admit anything. You didn't need explanations, excuses, or confessions. You understood them because you paid attention where no one else bothered to look. And that kind of insight is frightening for people who are used to hiding, because they suddenly realize they aren't in control of the narrative. They never were. The power of seeing someone clearly isn't about being superior. It's about refusing to participate in their illusions. When they tried to manipulate, charm, or mislead you, it didn't work. You read between the lines, you noticed the patterns, and you quietly recognized the games for what they were. That awareness is invisible, almost subtle, but it carries a weight that most people can't handle. They weren't prepared to meet someone who could look through them without judgment, but also without being tricked. And that's what sticks. That's what haunts them. The uncomfortable truth that they were exposed without a single accusation, without drama, without a fight. They replay conversations, moments, and interactions, trying to figure out how you knew. They analyze what you saw, where you might have been wrong, how they could have hidden better, but there's no undoing it. Once someone sees you see them, the dynamic changes forever. They realize that the safe masks they wear for the world won't work around you. You became the one mirror they didn't ask for, the one person who didn't accept their facade, and they'll never forget it. Because the worst kind of hauntings aren't loud or violent. They're quiet, sharp, and undeniable. You didn't just notice them. You understood them in a way that made them face themselves. That understanding is the kind of checkmate that lingers, the kind of presence that people carry with them even when you're gone. It leaves a mark they can't erase, and it's one they'll never forgive themselves for underestimating. Number 3, you refuse to shrink for their comfort. There's a strange power in refusing to shrink yourself for anyone. Most people expect compromise to the point of invisibility. They want you smaller, quieter, softer, more pliable, so their own insecurities feel safer, their control feels intact, and their egos feel justified. They assume that the easiest way to keep peace is to mold others into versions of themselves, to dim the brilliance of anyone who threatens their fragile sense of authority. But you didn't do that. You didn't apologize for your intensity, hide your ambition, or water down your opinions just to make someone else comfortable. You existed fully, in a way that made them realize how much they had underestimated the power of someone who refuses to be small. That refusal is like a checkmate they never saw coming. When they tried to manipulate or control you, they expected the familiar pattern: hesitation, concession, compromise. Instead, they met resistance, clarity, and presence. Every time they attempted to impose their expectations, you simply stood as yourself, unshaken, unbent, unashamed. That kind of self-possession is terrifying for people who have built their world around predictable reactions. It shows them that their control was never real, that their influence over others was contingent on the willingness of those others to comply. And when someone refuses compliance entirely, it leaves an imprint that is impossible to ignore. The haunting part is that you didn't have to fight for this recognition. You didn't need to make a scene, argue your worth, or explain yourself. You simply refused to reduce yourself to their comfort level, and in doing so, you revealed a truth they couldn't hide from. They were powerless over the essence of who you are. That truth lingers because it exposes both admiration and resentment. They remember your refusal, and it stings every time they realize they can't replicate it, can't diminish it, and certainly can't forget it. In a world full of people shrinking to fit the expectations of others, Standing tall in your full self isn't just rare, it's unforgettable. That refusal to shrink is a quiet, relentless kind of power, and it is the kind of memory that haunts the people who tried to cage you. Number 4, your absence made their world make sense too late. There's a peculiar kind of power in walking away, in removing yourself from a space where your presence had quietly carried more weight than anyone ever admitted. People often take for granted the structure, calm, or clarity that someone brings into their lives until it's gone. They adapt to your presence, leaning on your patience, your wisdom, your energy, and your ability to keep things together without even realizing it. And then one day, without fanfare or drama, you step back, you withdraw, you stop holding the weight of their chaos for them. That's when the revelation hits. And it hits like a shockwave. Suddenly, the world they thought was fine feels off-kilter. Decisions become harder, conflicts feel heavier, and the little cracks they ignored start to widen. They scramble to fill the space you left, and in doing so, they finally see how much you were doing, how much of the order, stability, and understanding they relied on was coming from you. It's not the absence itself that stings the most. It's the truth your absence exposes. They didn't notice you before because they took it for granted, but now every corner of their life reflects the missing piece they failed to value. And here's the haunting part. You never needed to announce your departure or explain the reasons behind it. Your absence alone was enough to shift the entire dynamic. Every failed attempt to replicate your presence, every moment of confusion they endure without you, becomes a reminder of the reality they refused to acknowledge when you were there. They replay the moments, the interactions, the guidance, and realize they underestimated you at every turn. This is the quiet kind of checkmate that doesn't require confrontation. It's invisible but undeniable. The truth is clear. Your presence was more important than they ever admitted, and your absence proves it in a way they can't escape. They see the world differently now, and it's a world they only begin to understand when you're no longer part of it. That memory doesn't fade. It lingers, sharp and constant, a reminder that they lost someone irreplaceable, and it is one they will carry with them forever. Number 5, you didn't need revenge. Your evolution did the job. There's a misconception that leaving a mark on someone requires confrontation, drama, or revenge. People assume the most unforgettable actions are loud, pointed, or aggressive. But the truth is far simpler and far more powerful. Evolution, growth, becoming someone better than you were yesterday. That's the real checkmate. And it's subtle enough to make people uncomfortable without you lifting a finger to hurt them. They expected you to retaliate, to prove a point, to get even, but instead you chose the quiet, relentless path of self-improvement. You didn't give them the satisfaction of conflict. You didn't need to. Your transformation spoke for you, and it echoes louder than any words ever could. What makes this unforgettable is how effortlessly it happens. You kept moving, learning, building, and thriving while they were busy trying to hold on to old versions of you or manipulate the situation. Every success, every small win, every step forward was a reminder that you no longer fit into their world or into the roles they had crafted for you. You didn't burn bridges. You simply became someone they couldn't reach, someone they couldn't control, someone they could no longer predict. And that unpredictability, that independence, is frightening for people who counted on your compliance. Your evolution is a silent form of power that can't be bargained with or undermined. It doesn't shout, but it resonates. It doesn't need applause because the impact is already there. People notice it whether they admit it or not. Every time they replay past interactions, they see how much stronger, sharper, and more complete you've become, and they realize that none of it was orchestrated for their attention. It was entirely for yourself. That realization stings, because it exposes both admiration and resentment. The brilliance of this checkmate is that it cannot be reversed or undone. You didn't just leave a mark. You redefined the entire space you once shared with them, and in doing so, you left them with the haunting awareness that you didn't need them to rise. You simply evolved beyond their expectations, and that alone is unforgettable. Number 6, you broke a pattern that had never been broken. Some people live their lives believing they have the world figured out. They rely on routines, patterns, and the predictable behaviors of others to maintain control, to feel safe, and to validate themselves. They think they know how everyone will respond, how situations will unfold, and how people will bend to fit the roles they assign. That's the comfort they cling to, and it makes them feel untouchable. Then you come along, and without even trying, you break that pattern. You do what no one else has done. You refuse to act according to their expectations, and suddenly, the rules they built their lives around collapse. It isn't about being rebellious or confrontational. You didn't go out of your way to challenge them. You simply operated on your own terms, in your own timing, with your own logic. And that shift is jarring, because they had relied on you following the familiar script. They expected compliance, predictability, and the usual concessions that made them feel secure. When you didn't give it to them, their world tilted. They realized that everything they counted on could be questioned, disrupted, and undone. That realization doesn't pass quickly. It lingers. It sits quietly in the back of their mind, reminding them that you were never just another player in their game. You were the one who changed the rules. Breaking a pattern like that leaves an imprint because it exposes the illusion of control. They might try to rationalize, rewrite, or justify what happened, but nothing can erase the truth. You didn't play by their expectations. That truth forces reflection, discomfort, and, in many cases, regret. People remember the first time someone shows them that their influence isn't absolute, that their power isn't guaranteed, and that their strategies aren't foolproof. You didn't need to boast or make a scene. Your refusal to conform was enough to leave a permanent mark. You became the anomaly they couldn't predict, and that unpredictability is a type of power most people fear. It's quiet, undeniable, and unforgettable. They carry it with them because breaking a pattern that has never been broken isn't just a one-time event. It's a statement about who you are, what you value, and the fact that you cannot be contained. And that reality haunts them endlessly. Number 7, you loved with depth they weren't prepared for. Love in its purest form is rarely loud or flashy. It's steady, unwavering, and often more powerful than anyone realizes. Most people encounter gestures, words, or attention that feel shallow, convenient, or conditional. They get used to surface-level interactions, polite exchanges, and relationships where effort is measured by how much someone gains from it. Then you come along and you love in a way that isn't just about comfort or convenience. You invest fully, consistently, and without pretense. That kind of depth is rare, and it leaves a mark that's impossible to ignore. The problem is, many people aren't prepared for it. They've built shields around themselves, expecting love to be transactional, manipulative, or performative. They've been conditioned to take what they can get, without understanding what it means to truly give. When you enter their world with honesty, sincerity, and genuine care, it shakes their foundations. They suddenly see what they've been missing, and the realization is uncomfortable. They recognize the intensity, loyalty, and emotional clarity you brought, and it makes them confront the fact that they can't replicate it, that they didn't deserve it, or that they were incapable of sustaining it. What haunts them most is how effortlessly you gave your full self without demanding anything in return. You didn't use love as a weapon, a bargaining tool, or a shield. You simply existed fully in it, fully present, fully committed. And when they tried to underestimate it, dismiss it, or take it for granted, it revealed not weakness in you, but their own inability to rise to your level. That kind of love is unforgettable because it exposes truth. It uncovers their limitations, their insecurities, and their fear of depth. They replay your presence in their mind because it challenges everything they assumed about connection, loyalty, and worth. Your love wasn't loud, but it was profound. It wasn't conditional, but it was transformative. And that combination, quiet power, unwavering commitment, and emotional clarity, is a haunting they will carry for the rest of their lives. It's not the love they forgot. It's the truth they couldn't handle. Number 8, you were the first person they couldn't replace. There's a kind of presence that can't be duplicated, a combination of energy, understanding, and authenticity that simply can't be copied or replaced. Most people live under the assumption that everyone is replaceable, that friends, partners, colleagues, or confidants are just positions in their life that can be filled when convenient. Then you enter their world and suddenly that assumption crumbles. You weren't just another person. You were a presence they had never encountered before, someone whose influence and impact couldn't be substituted. That realization is both humbling and haunting, and it lingers long after you're gone. They might try to fill the void with others, attempting to replicate your energy, mimic your insight, or recreate the connection they had with you. But it never works. No one else carries your combination of sharpness, intuition, and depth. No one else knew the subtle nuances of your interactions, the way you understood without over-explaining, the way you challenged them while also lifting them. Your influence was unique, and that uniqueness becomes painfully clear the moment they realize no replacement exists. What makes it unforgettable isn't just your absence. It's the truth that hits them slowly and persistently. They had underestimated the rarity of someone like you. They didn't just lose a person. They lost a standard, a benchmark, a presence that redefined how they thought relationships, loyalty, and understanding could operate. That makes them replay every interaction, analyzing what made you irreplaceable, trying to figure out how they missed it, and realizing too late that no one else will ever match it. The haunting isn't dramatic. It's quiet, deep, and constant. It's in the small moments when they notice the lack of your insight, the absence of your calm, the missing clarity that you brought. They can't recreate it, they can't replace it, and they can't forget it. Being the first person they couldn't replace is a kind of power few understand, and it's the type of presence that lingers in memory long after anyone else would be forgotten. You didn't just leave a mark. You became a standard that they will spend their lives trying and failing to replicate. Number 9, your boundaries were a language. They didn't speak. There's a certain kind of power in simply saying no and meaning it. Most people expect boundaries to be flexible, negotiable, or optional, especially if it suits their convenience. They're used to testing limits, overstepping lines, and seeing how far they can go before someone reacts. Then you come along, and you don't just set boundaries, you enforce them with clarity, consistency, and quiet authority. That combination is alien to people who are used to bending others to their will. Your boundaries weren't suggestions or polite requests. They were rules they couldn't ignore, limits they couldn't push past, and standards they couldn't debate. That's why they still haunt them. When they encountered your limits, they realized for the first time that they weren't in control of you. Their usual tactics, pressure, guilt, charm, manipulation, failed because you had already defined the terms of engagement, and you refused to budge. You didn't justify your boundaries, argue about them, or apologize for them. You simply made them clear and acted accordingly. That quiet certainty was more intimidating than any argument or confrontation could ever be. They had never met someone who could communicate a line so clearly without over-explaining or weakening it. What makes this unforgettable is that boundaries aren't just rules. They're a reflection of self-respect, awareness, and inner strength. By maintaining yours, you exposed the truth about how they operated. You showed them that their usual leverage didn't work, that their influence had limits, and that control over you was an illusion. That truth stings because it forces reflection, acknowledgement, and often discomfort. Even now, they replay moments where they tried to test you, press you, or manipulate you, only to realize they were met with calm, unwavering resistance. They remember because it was rare, because it revealed a level of strength and self-possession they weren't prepared to handle, and because it's impossible to forget someone who refused to be bent to fit their expectations. Your boundaries weren't just rules, they were a statement, and that statement lingers far longer than any argument ever could. Number 10, you saw their potential, not their excuses. Most people spend their lives making excuses. They blame circumstances, other people, or even fate itself for their failures, shortcomings, and missed opportunities. They get comfortable in the narrative that their limitations are fixed, that they can't rise higher, or that the world owes them something. Then you come along, and instead of indulging those excuses, you see what they could be at their core, the version of themselves they refuse to acknowledge. That perspective is rare, and it's uncomfortable for people who are used to hiding behind stories that protect them from accountability. You didn't just notice them, you recognized their untapped potential, and that kind of clarity leaves a lasting impression. What makes it haunting is that your recognition doesn't come with flattery or empty encouragement. You didn't sugarcoat reality. You didn't give them a participation trophy for showing up. You saw the gap between who they were and who they could become, and you acknowledged it openly, consistently, and without compromise. That forced a kind of confrontation they weren't prepared for, the realization that their excuses weren't shields but chains. They had someone in their life who wouldn't let them hide behind comfort or denial, someone who held them to a higher standard without demeaning them, someone who could see the truth even when they refused to. The brilliance of this checkmate is subtle. You didn't force change, you didn't demand action, and you didn't manipulate them. You simply operated from a place of clarity and vision. And because they couldn't meet that vision at the time, your awareness of their potential became a mirror they couldn't escape. Every time they reflect on past interactions, they remember how you challenged them, not with criticism, but with understanding. That memory lingers because it's uncomfortable and undeniable. They carry it because it exposes their own limits, highlights their own failures, and reminds them of the person they could have been if they had risen to meet you. You weren't just someone in their life. You were a standard they couldn't reach, and that is a haunting they can never shake. Number 11, you didn't fold under pressure. You focused. Most people crumble when the heat turns up. When life throws challenges, chaos, or confrontation their way, they react with panic, overthinking, or impulsive decisions. They expect others to do the same, to fold, to stumble, to lose composure. But you weren't like that. When everything around you seemed unstable, when the noise and tension were at their peak, you didn't flinch. You didn't get lost in the chaos or let the pressure dictate your actions. Instead, you focused. You observed, assessed, and acted with clarity. That kind of calm decisiveness is rare, and it's the kind of thing that sticks in people's minds because it challenges everything they thought they understood about how you or anyone would react. What makes this unforgettable is how effortless it seemed. They were expecting a storm of emotions, a dramatic response, or even a visible struggle. What they got instead was precision. You operated with purpose while they were spinning in uncertainty. You weren't just surviving the pressure. You were using it to sharpen your focus, to elevate your decisions, and to define your path. That contrast between their chaos and your composure becomes a point of quiet intimidation. They remember how you handled it because it highlighted their own lack of control, their impulsiveness, and their inability to rise to the moment. It's even more haunting because you didn't need to prove anything. There was no showmanship, no lecture, no exaggerated display of strength. You simply moved with clarity, and your actions spoke louder than anything they could have anticipated. They replay your calm decisiveness in their minds because it's a mirror they can't face without recognizing their own shortcomings. The truth is, pressure doesn't create heroes. It reveals them. And by focusing instead of folding, you became that rare kind of presence that isn't forgotten. People remember you not because you shouted the loudest, but because you were steady when everything else fell apart. That steadiness, that quiet mastery under pressure, is the kind of memory that lingers long after the moment has passed. It's a checkmate they can't undo, a reminder of a strength they will never match. Number 12. You walked away with your integrity intact. There's a power in leaving without burning bridges, in exiting a situation without throwing punches, raising your voice, or creating chaos. Most people think the most memorable exits are dramatic, messy, and loud. But the truth is, the quiet departures are the ones that haunt. You didn't need to scream, argue, or retaliate. You simply walked away, fully aware of your worth and uncompromised in your principles. That kind of move leaves an impact because it forces people to reckon with the fact that they didn't break you, they didn't shake you, and they couldn't manipulate you. Your integrity became your silent weapon, and it hits harder than anything else could. When you left, you didn't just remove yourself physically, you removed the leverage they had over you. They had grown used to control, to predictability, to bending your actions to fit their comfort. But your departure shattered that illusion. They weren't just losing a person, they were losing someone who consistently operated from honesty, clarity, and moral authority. And because you didn't stoop to dramatics or revenge, there was no scapegoat, no villain to blame. The haunting reality for them is that you left on your terms, and in doing so, you highlighted their inability to act with the same self-respect. What makes this unforgettable is the contrast between your calm and their chaos. They expected resistance, confrontation, or at least a visible struggle, and they got none of it. Instead, they were confronted with something far more unsettling, a quiet, unshakable strength that required no validation or spectacle. They remember the way you held yourself, the way you left, and the fact that not a shred of your character was compromised. Walking away with integrity intact is a rare form of power because it communicates everything without saying a word. It says, I am untouchable in my truth. I am in control of my choices. I will not be diminished to satisfy anyone else's ego. That memory lingers because it's sharp, undeniable, and impossible to ignore. It's a checkmate played with dignity, a move they can never undo, and a truth they will carry long after you are gone. Number 13, you became the lesson. They didn't know they needed. Some encounters leave a mark not because of drama or confrontation, but because they teach a truth people weren't ready to face. You became that kind of presence. You weren't just someone passing through their life. You became a mirror, a teacher, and an unavoidable lesson all in one. Most people resist learning when it's uncomfortable. They cling to old habits, justifications, and illusions about themselves. Then they meet someone like you, and suddenly they are forced to confront the parts of themselves they've ignored, avoided, or denied. That realization is not pleasant, and that's what makes it unforgettable. The remarkable thing is that you didn't need to lecture, criticize, or manipulate to teach them. You simply existed in a way that highlighted truths they were too scared to acknowledge. Your consistency, your clarity, your refusal to be anything less than who you are. It all became a living example of what they could aspire to, what they could fail at, and what they lost by settling for less. They weren't just observing you, they were involuntarily learning from every word, every choice, every action you took. That kind of influence is subtle but devastating. It sticks because it exposes weakness, reveals limitations, and ignites self-reflection that people often try to avoid. What makes it haunting is the way they replay interactions long after you've gone. They analyze what you did, why you did it, and how you carried yourself with a level of integrity and strength they weren't prepared to meet. It forces them to face uncomfortable truths. They underestimated you, they overestimated themselves, and they missed the rare opportunity to match the standard you quietly set. You didn't just leave a memory, you left a benchmark, a living lesson on awareness, accountability, and authenticity. People rarely forget the ones who challenge them without trying to challenge them. You became unavoidable in their minds because you exposed truths they didn't want to see but needed desperately. That is the kind of checkmate that haunts indefinitely. You weren't just part of their life. You became the lesson they never saw coming and the mirror they can't stop staring into. Number 14. Your final move showed them who they really were. The most unforgettable moments aren't always the loudest or the most dramatic. They're the ones that reveal truth. Your final move, whatever it was, didn't just change the course of your relationship with them. It exposed the reality of who they truly were. People rarely meet someone who forces them to face themselves so directly, and when they do, it leaves a lasting mark. They thought they understood you, but your last action shattered their assumptions. They realized the story they had been telling themselves about control, influence, or superiority was nothing more than a fragile illusion. And that revelation, sharp and undeniable, haunts them. You didn't need to make it messy, loud, or aggressive. There was no over-explaining, no dramatics, no revenge plot. You acted with intention, clarity, and integrity. That alone was enough to expose their flaws, insecurities, and misjudgments. They replay the scene over and over in their mind, trying to figure out what made your final move so impossible to counter. But it wasn't about them. It was about you. It was about living, acting, and leaving on your terms without compromise or apology. That kind of decisiveness forces reflection, and most people hate looking in the mirror. What makes it unforgettable is the quiet certainty behind your actions. They expected hesitation, negotiation, or weakness, and instead they were met with resolve. You didn't just leave a mark, you held up a mirror to their true self, and it wasn't a flattering reflection. Your final move didn't just change your trajectory, it reshaped their understanding of themselves and their behavior. They saw their limitations, their miscalculations, and the gap between who they thought they were and who they really are. That haunting sticks because it's impossible to forget someone who exposes your truth without malice. You didn't need to yell, argue, or manipulate. You simply moved, and in that movement, you revealed a reality they couldn't escape. They carry it with them forever because your final move was more than an action. It was an unmasking. It was the checkmate that showed them who they really were, and nothing can erase that. Conclusion. Being unforgettable isn't about loud gestures, dramatic exits, or seeking revenge. It's about clarity, presence, and the quiet strength that leaves a permanent mark on everyone you touch. From refusing to shrink for the comfort of others, to walking away with integrity intact, to loving and living with a depth they weren't ready for, every choice you made became a silent statement they couldn't ignore. Your awareness, boundaries, and evolution didn't just change your life. They exposed truths about them they never wanted to see but could never forget. You became a mirror, a benchmark, and a lesson all at once, showing them not just who you were, but who they really were in comparison. The moments that linger, the checkmates that haunt, are rarely the ones anyone plans for. They exist in the quiet power of focus under pressure, the unshakable calm in chaos, and the unwavering commitment to self-respect and authenticity. Your final move revealed more than your strength. It revealed their reality. And that is why you are unforgettable. You didn't just leave memories behind. You left truths, lessons, and standards that will echo in their minds long after you've moved on. That's the mark of someone who isn't just remembered. They are chosen, irreplaceable, and impossible to erase. So remember this: being the chosen one isn't about proving anything to the world. It's about owning your worth, living unapologetically, and leaving a legacy through the way you move, think, and exist. That's the real checkmate. If you found this powerful and want more content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and drop a comment below with your thoughts. Let's build a community of those who choose to rise above, stand out, and leave marks that last forever. God bless you.